Hello, namaste, and welcome to Delhi. I'm Devina Gupta, and this is Work Life India on the BBC, the show that looks at all things to do with money, the work we do, and the lives we lead. In the late 70s, Australian businessman Kerry Packer shook the world of cricket, challenging the establishment and cherry-picking the biggest but not so well-paid international stars of the day to play in his own tournament called the World Series. He was offering huge salaries and a different approach to cricket. Fast forward 4 decades and cricket is now a multi-billion-dollar sport. As 10 teams battle it out in the ICC World Cup, we are asking, how has money changed cricket? In India, cricket was once a preserve of the elite. Now it's popularly knows no bounds, from narrow streets to corporate boardrooms. Hundreds of millions of fans follow the game and hero worship the players. Cricket whips up unparalleled frenzy. Stars bag multi-million-dollar endorsement contracts, and tournaments like the Indian Premier League ensure that even the younger players get their share of the pie. Cricket is now flush with cash. To discuss this and more, with me in the studio, Anjum Chopra, former captain of the Indian women's cricket team and the first woman to score a century for India, first to play 6 World Cups for India. Welcome, Anjum.
Thank you so much.
We also have Puru Singh, who's a former professional cricketer and is now making young cricketers realize their dreams through his academy. Welcome, Puru.
Thank you.
And also we have Pradeep Parameswaran, who's president of Uber India and South Asia, here to share consumer insights because Uber is one of the official sponsors in this World Cup. Welcome, Pradeep.
Happy to be here.
Well, let's see how we can get this conversation started. First with you, Anjum, because 9-year-old, that's when you picked up the interest in the game. And you've gone to score many first, led the women's cricket team in India in Test and One Day International. Tell me something, what makes a 9-year-old girl choose cricket? What makes it so popular in India?
I think the popularity obviously started from the 1983 World Cup win that the Indian team had, the men's Indian team had rather. That was a game changer for the sport in the country. For me, what took to the liking was because I have a family of sports people, and obviously cricket being a religion, it's been a religion since nearly 4 decades almost now. So everybody used to play the sport, and my brother used to play it in his backyard, and I used to be the wicket keeper because my uncle used to be bowling or batting. So I had no choice but to make sure that I catch the ball, otherwise I had to run to the end of the street to pick it up and run back because they didn't want to wait. So, you know, it always starts from the backyard, it always starts from the family, and fortunately I've had a family of sports people.
Well, Puru can actually relate to the story because he got a green pass when he was in school to play cricket, miss classes like maths, and then developed interest in the game. But Puru, you didn't actually carry it through. You played at state level, and that's where journey ends for the most of the people in India, in spite of this being a nation which is crazy for cricket.
I think like 2 decades back it may hold true because there was no IPL and there was not that much money was involved. But nowadays, because of IPL and because of there's many opportunity, there's lots of money which has come into the game. So I think nowadays people are not just stopping at state level cricket. They are aspiring to play more and more league cricket, and not just at the international level, but there are different leagues happening all over the world. So
there are more opportunities for the young. And when you say IPL, it's the Indian Premier League, which is the equivalent actually of the European Premier League.
Yeah.
You have clubs in India, crazy money is being spent to buy cricketers, international cricketers are coming in, and that's where the man with all the money is here, Pradeep, because you are one of the official sponsors of the World Cup. And Uber, it's interesting, being a company based in the United States, where the game is not as popular, is choosing cricket to reach to masses in this sphere. Why only cricket? Why not anything else?
I think there is nothing like cricket in the part of the world that we operate in. So you think about some of the markets that are the largest for us, the UK, Australia and New Zealand, and the subcontinent. So think about India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Nothing grabs public fancy as this sport does. And as a brand that aspires to bring transportation and food solutions to the masses, what better way to connect? And that's what's inspired us to think about cricket as a vehicle for us to build a brand and connect with our fans.
But Group M, which is a media agency, has said in this World Cup cricket alone, $171 million is at stake when it comes to advertising. And you've done something which you haven't done anywhere else in the world. You now have actually a celebrity endorsing Uber, and that man is none other than the Indian cricket captain, Virat Kohli. Was there a consensus, or were there boardroom discussions and you had to drive people home to say, look, we got to change if we want to communicate in this market?
Virat has, Devina, thanks for the question, because this is a battle. And Virat was the first time anywhere in the world that we used a global celebrity. And that's now been followed. Now we are doing it in a few other markets as well. And the debate was really about, if you're going to be a brand for the mass, you've got to find methods to connect. And Virat really represents the aspirations of over 1 billion people. And he sets standards. He's changing the game. He's doing things that nobody's ever done before. He's setting the pace on fitness. He's setting the pace on performance. And for a brand that aspires to be a disruptor and set new standards and bring real disruptive change to transportation, we thought he would be a great
You
connect.
thought that would be a good fit. It's interesting because the man you mentioned is a cricketer, Virat Kohli, who, according to 2017 report, is actually brand values more than Lionel Messi. And he is the most popular footballer that people talk about, at least in this part of the world. But Anjum, that's where the comparison is. Why is it that India has more popularity for cricket while not football? And why is it that the football, though the viewership is growing, it's still behind?
I think, sorry, the very fact is that India is not a global player in terms of football. We don't get the results yet. We are not the world's top 10, 20 teams. We don't qualify for the Football World Cup. So there is very few and a very niche market which people identify with. And yes, it's an easy sport to play. It's an easy sport to connect. That's why even an Indian men's team or a women's team like to play football in a warm-up session, because it's easier to play. But when you see the performance, obviously the Indian cricket team has been world beaters. They've been world champions, so it's easier to connect with a champion for sure. And that's why the connect with cricket is far greater than football.
And Puru, when you have these young cricketers coming to you, are they also looking at the power and the glamour that the money brings? What drives them to be cricketers and take this up as a potential career?
I think because it's so much on the face, the whatever is happening in the game of cricket these days, so of course they get affected. But I think more than that, everyone who starts playing cricket starts because for the love of the game. You know, I speak to any young kid, and sometimes I do ask, why are you not playing tennis or football, or why do you choose cricket? So they say, I love the game. So I think the first thought is because you love the game, that's why you pick up the bat or a ball or whatever. Yeah.
And are the parents now also telling children, look, you can choose cricket if you want? Absolutely. We have no issues, because now we have shorter formats of the game. And Anu, that's the question to you, because cricket started with long test day matches, then it came to one-day international cricket, day and night matches. Now there are 20 over games, which are just 3 hours game format. How has that evolved, and has it also drawn more audience in?
Yeah, for sure. When you play a 20 over format, it can get over in under 3 hours, or it can get over in under 4 hours, depending upon the longevity of the game. Otherwise, and that's a very nice format. The very fact that T20 was created was to attract audiences to the cricket grounds to come and watch them play. It was, and apart from the TV broadcasters beaming the games live world over, they didn't have enough audience to come into the ground and watch it, and they wanted something of a entertainment. They wanted something as a family outing. So that's the reason the T20 format was created, and England was one of those big nations which created this format.
And it's adopted here in India because it's been commercialized so much. But tell me something.
No, I think it's taken the next level because it's played in India.
It's played in India. Well, and would you agree to that, Puru? Because you actually have an under-19 series where children are playing. What are the parents saying when they come with their children, and are they more interested in these children now playing for the commercial IPL? Because getting in the Indian team, it's really difficult even at this point of time.
No, absolutely. Parents are more inclined, because now cricket is looking like a career option. Maybe a decade ago it was not a career option, but because, of course, because of the money fact, as well as the kind of fame these cricketers are getting. So every parent wants their kid to play IPL or India.
Well, and how are the sponsors like yourself are seeing this phenomenon? Because Pradeep, you've been a cricket lover as well. You've grown up in the western city of Mumbai, where cricket is really famous, and also home ground to one of the cricket legends, Sachin Tendulkar. When you decide to choose cricket as a game, and there are these shorter formats, is there a lot to choose from? How do you decide that perhaps World Cup is a better avenue for us rather than these shorter formats of the game?
You know, I want to say, Anjum, what you said really struck a chord. This notion of family audiences, if I can divert for a second, my wife hates cricket. Wouldn't watch at all. But IPL, she'll come with us. And we take the kids and it's to a game and it's a completely different event. So it's just broadened the audience. And you think about the World Cup, this year's format in particular, there are the best 10 teams of the world playing every other team. And that kind of excellence is very hard to find at this scale. And that kind of excellence draws audiences that we are seeing. We're barely started. And both on digital media and television media, the numbers are racking up pretty fast. And it just talks to the fact that the game connects in a very deep way. And that brings an opportunity for brands like us to really connect with fans.
And well, in fact, let me get Anjum in on this one, because even as these formats of the game are becoming more popular and cricket has seen this growth, which is phenomenal, sports advertising is growing in double digits in this format as well. When it comes to women cricket leagues, are there discriminations that you see with the male counterparts?
Look, you know, the sport cannot be compared. And I've always felt so, even when I was playing, that when you start giving out results, you look at Australian men's team and an Australian women's team, they are phenomenally paid. And the difference in their pay structure is reducing by the year. You know, the women cricketers in Australia paid probably what the men were paid almost 3 or 4 years back. So that's a good amount of number from where they started. They started from zero and they've gone to a good number. In India also it's changing. The Indian women's team lost the World Cup in 2017. Still they have contracts. They've got nice commercial deals with a lot of sponsors going around. So I won't say that there is discrimination, but yes, it's something that the sport has to improve as it further progresses. And if it's an Indian team, the more they start winning, when they start winning at global levels, automatically a lot of attention and the finances will tend to improve, because it has to be a result oriented. Look, we are a big
well,
nation.
you get to pay if you perform. And Uber, in fact, was one of the companies that sponsored Women's Cricket Cup last year. Now, I have to ask you this. Was this a conscious strategy? Because in the face of questions around women's safety in Uber, was it a conscious strategy to first start with Women's Cricket World Cup?
Not really. You know, listen, Uber is a company that experiments a lot. Because frankly, we are doing things that's never been done before. And that makes us a culture that wants to try newer things. And when the opportunity, it was opportunistic, it came along to us. I think a lot of our team members were very intrigued by the notion of supporting the event. And we got so much brand love out of that event. And I remember, I was telling Anjum just before the show, there were some dramatic performances. I remember our captain's innings that is never seen before. And that just sparked so much joy in our drivers, in our riders, in our eaters, and that sparked an idea, right? And that was the inspiration for us to think about this.
Well, let's also talk about the flip side of cricket, because we are talking about the World Cup that's happening in the UK, but this game has also seen some darker times. Well, there is also a scene in which there are players who have been caught taking money by professional bettors to either throw the match or impact its outcome. What is known as match fixing and spot fixing. I earlier spoke with Paddy Upton, the South African head coach of one of the Indian cricket clubs, Rajasthan Royals, and began by asking him how susceptible are cricketers, especially the young ones, to cross the line.
How susceptible are young players? A lot of them get groomed from a very young age, and by the time they get to be playing, they're sort of caught up in this web that they sometimes don't understand, and on the odd occasion actually find it very difficult to extract themselves from. So it's important that they've got support systems and friends if they do find themselves in that situation, because often the guys who are luring them into these webs are a lot more clever and strategic and manipulative than these young kids would ever begin to understand.
How is it that these professional bettors find their way in and target these young cricketers and pick them out? How does it all work?
Well, I think certainly in India, I mean, because betting is illegal, you find a lot of this stuff is driven by people engage in not just betting, but potentially other legal activities And I don't really understand that mind all that well, but I do know in order to survive in that industry, these people are very strategic, very well connected, very manipulative, and as I said, a lot cleverer than just someone who's very good at bowling a cricket ball at 140 kilometers an hour, scoring runs. So they are very clever, but by the same token, we're very aware of it, and everything from the BCCI, the police, the authorities are very aware of this kind of behavior, and they know what to look out for, and even a lot of the times who to look out for. So the checks and balances are really in place, and I'm not concerned for a tournament like the World Cup that this kind of thing is going to be happening.
What exactly is being done to check this menace of match fixing and spot fixing?
Well, I mean, just the technology, as I said, in the hotels today, there's surveillance cameras. Nobody can walk into a team hotel without being caught on camera. Cell phones, if people really want to, they can track cell phone calls. So it's very difficult to actually do anything these days without there being some electronic trace of our behavior, whether it's our communication device or even, as I said, on CCTV and security cameras. So players' movements are very closely monitored, and quite rightly so.
Well, I also want to ask you about the kind of pressure that these players are under. And often we've seen situations on the pitch where there is sledging, which is verbal assault for intimidating players of the other team. And that's sort of become a culture now. How do you get around that?
It says something about who they are as people. And again, sledging is like ball tampering. It's almost like it's a minor version of taking a bribe. What you're doing is you're abusing a fellow human being verbally in order to gain a temporary advantage in that moment, which potentially gets him to play a false shot and he loses his wicket. So you might win that moment. However, engaging that says something about who you are as a character, your values, your person, and that is going to last way beyond that momentary win.
That was Paddy Upton, and he referred to BCCI, which is the Indian Cricket Board, and it has tightened guidelines against corruption in cricket. And Anjum, I want to take this to you because we've seen it's not only in cricket, it's happened in Spanish La Liga, where there are investigations underway on possible match fixing. We've seen in FIFA, where money laundering cases have happened earlier in 2015. You're wearing a crown of thorns, isn't it, as a cricketer, because you get that public adoration. People are worshipping you, and suddenly it takes just one slip for it to turn into anger, and families have been targeted in India, especially for Indian cricketers.
Look, I will not say that it's a crown of thorns at all. That's only left to the captaincy. That captaincy is a crown of thorns, nothing else. And when I say a crown of thorns, it's related to the performances. In all this match fixing fiasco or the discussions around it, it has all got to do very relatively to the players, where they come from and the conditions that they come from, and where are the conditions in which they are playing. It's not that it affects everyone, and you have various ways in which you can stop it, various ways and methods which are informed to us much in advance, especially by the ICC, and the balances and checks are there in place. Why it happens, who indulges in it, that's a very different discussion altogether. But it can very easily be managed by a pair, because it's actually your own interest which draws you or keeps you having those withdrawal symptoms.
Well, Pradeep, as somebody who's a sponsor and spending big money, a single controversy has a lot of risk to your brand. Are you secured against it?
So I want to kind of quote our CEO, Dara, who talks about one of our core values, which is do the right thing. And doing the right thing is really important for our brand. We have a millennial workforce, and this workforce and this generation of the people genuinely believe in doing good. They want to make change happen. They want to make change happen for the planet, for the betterment of human beings. So to your point, it is incredibly important that we are connected in ways with institutions we think are taking all the right steps to make sure that there is honesty in the way the sport is played.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk now about the future of this game, because what's the next big step, Puru? We've seen shorter formats. There's a talk about just being a 100-ball game. Do you think that could impact the way the game is being played? That could hurt the soul of cricket, as many purists who love the Test cricket would say.
No, I mean you talk about 100-ball cricket. There's a T10 league which just happened in Dubai.
10 over league, that's
10
what
over
you're
league.
referring
It happened in Canada as well. And they are talking about 4-over cricket as well. But I don't think it's doing anything to the essence of cricket, because we are blessed to have a game where all the formats can survive easily. So there's an audience for test match, there's an audience for 50 overs, there's an audience for T20.
There'll be a test audience, there'll be an audience for 100 overs as well.
Absolutely.
You just go on and probably it would be what, a 1 hour game and it's over. But
I don't think this is with any other sport. It's only with cricket that there are different
you
formats.
still have audience, absolutely.
Devina, on that point,
yes, go ahead. Pradeep.
One of the disruptions that I'm very intrigued by is we were earlier limited by televisions, right? Take India as a country, there are 170 million homes with TVs. That's it. We have more than 1 billion devices. And digital streaming has gotten the reach of this game to people that you couldn't imagine before. The quality of interactivity we have, in fact, the entire Uber Eats campaign that we are doing this year for the World Cup is on Hotstar. It's on a digital medium and it is interactive. And so the way fans are engaging with the content is spectacular.
And the last, in fact, the Indian Premier League match had 18.6 million viewers only on digital. And does that also mean that we're expanding geographies, taking cricket to the US, where Uber is from? Is that a new geography that the game could travel to?
You know, Devina, you see connects that you wouldn't imagine. One of the things that we find is the diaspora that from the subcontinent, for us, many of them are in this profession as drivers. And they connect with this, in an instant, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Anjum, let me get you here, because there's another interesting idea of having a mixed match, women and men together, like you have in tennis. Does that have a future?
Till it's played for the first time, one wouldn't gauge the impact of it, but it's a nice concept. It's a concept which can be discussed, sought out, and made it happen. But if you say between a men's cricket team and an Indian women's cricket players mixing in together and playing, I think it's a far-fetched dream. But yes, in an exhibition campaign, yes, it can definitely happen.
All right, well, I'll be watching out for that one. But talking about this World Cup, and as we draw to the end of this discussion, let's quickly say, who's your favorite and why?
Apart from India, you're talking about?
Apart from India, of course, we're all biased if it comes to India, but
Just wanted to make it clear.
who's your favorite and why?
Look, I don't have any other favorite because I don't want anybody else to win apart from India, so I'm not even looking at them. But it's a very open World Cup, and consistency will really play a major factor in terms of whichever team goes on and wins this.
And which is your bet for the finals then?
I think India can play anyone.
From your hunch?
No, there isn't any. I think India should definitely finish
All
in the
right.
top 4. And once you reach the top 4, then let's take it from there.
And Pradeep, except your brand ambassador, India's cricket team captain Virat Kohli, who is the other player you'll be watching out for?
So for us, Uber, our entire campaign is built around the fans winning. And so while there
Smart
will be
answer like a marketeer.
there will be a team that wins, but I think the fans will win. But since you asked the question, of course, I'd love for Virat to do well. But I'm very excited to see how Joss Butler goes. I'm excited by the way he's playing and rewriting the rules. And I think there are some spectacular things that we could expect.
Some surprises there, but Puru, tell me who's your favorite for this World Cup, apart from India, as I said.
Apart from India.
Yes.
I think West Indies can spring a surprise, and so does Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, that's interesting. Yeah. And if you have to look at the finals of the World Cup, which are the top two picks for you?
India. And
India has to go in.
Okay, India, and I think West Indies can be there.
Probably could have a repeat. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for this lovely discussion. If I had a coin, I would actually toss to see heads or tails whether India is in the finals or not. But we leave it here. Thank you so much for an insightful discussion.
Thank
but
you.
It has been quite a discussion. We are out of time. While money is certainly a game changer, the game itself is a true test of character, bringing out the best in human endurance and values. As they say, may the best team win. Thank you for joining us. Do tweet us your feedback using #WorkLifeIndia. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Namaste.